Okay.
Yeah, Jess was like 15 minutes late the other day in one of the classes.
Yeah.
Her computer went down on her. She couldn't figure out how to get it to work. Yeah, like, I'm trying.
Morning.
Coming from both.
Morning, Dean.
Oh, the computer's already on.
No,
Just coming through there.
through the speaker down there.
It was like, I texted her.
No, I didn't. I wonder if it's up on his computer.
Who knows?
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Roxy.
Hey, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. It says Roxy on the computer.
Yeah, and the office is closed, so the computer started talking to us and started freaking us out.
Oh,
Hey,
you just logged in. All right, well, we're gonna log out.
I'll go log out. She can do that at home. I'll leave it alone until the meeting's over.
Yeah, the camera's.
Yeah, so she's supposed to be coming soon. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You don't need to do it. Just keep your hold of it. Okay. Hopefully she shows up quick.
Hey, Dean, before we get started, was Courtney, are you going to send that Western Iowa map out? I never did get that.
I never got it.
Oh, we never got it?
No.
I got it from Dean and I swear I sent it on to you. That would be probably my fault, because Dean did send that to me. I also didn't have your agenda either for today either. So.
I can either send it to you, Courtney, or Rich, you can send it to Courtney.
Well, let me see if I can even find it, Dean.
All right. I'll get it. We'll get it to you, Gene.
Okay.
Did you get it?
What?
That map for Western Iowa Network? My lady's gonna show up.
Ray, it looks like you're ready for the holidays over your left shoulder there.
Yes, good morning. Well, where I do the Zoom here, I noticed the rack here in the background. But we have a sunny day here, so I had to move around a little bit.
We aren't concerned about the full bottles. We're concerned about the empty ones.
We'll fix that later today. Thank you. I appreciate your concern.
Yeah, I think they can stop. I think they can improve it.
Dean, Dean, you're gonna have to send that map out. I cannot find it anywhere.
Okay, I'll send it out. Not a problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, I'll send it to Courtney.
Okay, I did see it once upon a time, so. All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To
To the flag,
United States of America and to the republic.
to the republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
with liberty and justice
justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
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 Looks like we might be doing some jumping around here on the agenda a little bit. We have one person that's not here yet. So is there any other additions to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, motion carries. All right, we have the minutes of 16.
I have read and reviewed the minutes of November 16th, and I'll move to approve them as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the minutes? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. All right, let's jump to the ISIC. Is she on there? Oh, yep, all right. Jill, good morning.
Yes, good morning, and I apologize for my lateness. My sister had a heart attack this morning, so I am really scrambling. She is, I'm waiting for her to get a bed. Due to COVID, there's a shortage of beds here in Texas, so she is in good hands, and so, but I'm a little discombobulated this morning, so you'll have to forgive me.
And rightfully so. We'll keep it as short as possible to keep you moving along. We go ahead and take off and tell us what you know about it.
Okay, so tell you a little bit about this program and why you guys want to participate. This program is designed specifically by CMS because they understand that Medicaid pays the worst of any other payer. Essentially, you get paid as an EMS provider about 18 cents on the dollar for what it costs you to provide a Medicaid transport. So if you think about it that way, let's say 80-20. So it costs you $100 to provide the transport and you're only getting paid 18 to $20 for that. Well, that difference between what it costs you to provide the service and what you're being reimbursed is what we call a Medicaid shortfall. It's a shortfall between what it costs you and what you get paid. That is what you are eligible to receive in this program. You are only eligible because first, you're a public provider providing a critical service designated by CMS. Not all services are eligible for supplemental payments, only hospitals and nursing homes and public EMS. And in order to participate, you need to create a cost report each year and sign some forms that will enable you to provide a state match. And the reason why you have to do that is because Medicaid is a federal match program. So essentially, every time you receive, let's say, $100 for a transport, $40 is coming from the state of Iowa in their Medicaid program, they're putting up 40% and the feds are putting in 60%. This is all invisible to you because you just received $100 of all funds money. But really in Medicaid, the state has to put up a portion and the federal government has to put up a portion. Well, it works the same way with this Medicaid Supplemental Payment Program, GEMT. Somebody has to put up the state share, and the feds are funny. They say, hey, show me the state share and I'll give you the federal match dollars. So when I explained this to my dad said, Jill, are you laundering money? It sounds like a Ponzi scheme. And I said, no. I said, it's legal. It's legal laundering if it is. And where in the world is a provider or anybody going to get that kind of return on investment? That if I give you $40, you're going to give me back $60. You're going to give me back my original $40 plus the $60. So that's essentially the finance of how this works and why public providers all over the state have decided to participate. PCG presently represents 26 of those providers. You would be the 27th if you elect to participate. Everybody from Council Bluffs to Ankeny to Sioux Center, you know, we've got Waterloo, we've got Wapello, we've got everybody in between. And they all have reaped the benefits of this program in the first year. So why do you need to fill out a cost report? Because the state needs to know how much it costs you to provide that Medicaid transport so that they can then back out what they reimburse you and calculate the Medicaid shortfall that you're eligible to receive. And that's the basis of the cost report. The reason you have to fill out the other forms is one is an IGT form. What is an IGT? It's a big fancy word for a bank, you know, for wiring funds from your bank to the state Medicaid program, which you probably already wire funds in the, you know, in Carroll County anyway for property taxes and things like that to the state. So this is an intergovernmental transfer, which just means that you're a public entity, local public entity, wiring funds to the state. So you would IGT the state share of the payment you're eligible to receive. It's like you're loaning the money to the state. So the state can say, hey, federal government, here's your state share. Now, please give me my federal match. The state uses it to draw down a federal match. And then both the state share that you put up and the federal match, which is your net gain, come back to you. This program has been going on. PCG started the first program about 11 years ago in Texas. And I wasn't with PCG at the time. I actually worked at the state of Texas. And I oversaw supplemental payment programs for EMS and for hospitals to the tune of about $7.6 billion a year. So these programs have been around forever for hospitals in terms of disproportionate share and uncompensated care. Hospitals have been doing this forever. EMS is coming back and getting in on the program. You know, thankfully you have firefighters associations and IEMSA, Iowa EMS Association. You've got a great lobby there for the public EMS. So what we need from you is approval to put up the state share, to loan that money to the state for a certain period of time so that they can draw down the federal match and those dollars come back to Carroll County Ambulance. So that would be your approval to IGT when the state asks you to IGT or submit an invoice. I can give you a rough estimate. I can't do it this morning. I'm a little tight, but I can send that to you. I may have given one to Daryl, but I think I want to update that based on the data that he sent to me so far of what that state share would represent, but knowing that you're going to get it back on the back end. But we would need your approval. We would need you to sign an IGT form saying, yes, I am a public entity and I voluntarily agree to participate in this program and am willing to IGT when the state invoices me. Usually we're moving towards a monthly invoicing, so it's a little bit each month. The second form is to say, hey, here's the source of my IGT funds. They're public, and I'm not sure where you get yours, but it could be from patient revenues. It could be from sales tax. It could be property taxes. It could be just as long as you can just tell the state in one line, one sentence, yeah, we have public funds and the source is X. Then Daryl would need to sign a provider participation form just saying, hey, we voluntarily agree to participate. Nobody's twisting our arm. We are a public entity and we're eligible to participate. So what PCG does is we assist in pulling together the cost report because it's based on Medicare regulations. We need to make sure that all of the costs that we include are allowable costs according to the feds. We operate these programs in about 8 states, and we're adding on about another 6 this year currently. And we also provide audit assistance. So this is how we picked up an additional 9 providers this year, is because they went through the desk review process with the state last year, and it was a nightmare for them. So we actually assisted them with their audits, and they're now clients this year. So I think that's one of the biggest assets that PCG brings to the table. We work with M&S on audits in all other states. And we also bring policy experience and have been able to work with your state representatives in setting up these programs. And we're in the process of refining this program to optimize reimbursement for you. So what questions do you have for me this morning?
How many dollars difference does this make for Carroll County? Is it a game changer or is it just an incremental thing? You explained there's percentages and the 18 cents on the dollar, but I have no idea what the total dollar involvement is.
Yeah, and like I said, what I'd like to do is come up with a more refined revenue estimate for you guys, but let me look real quick at your expenditures that I have collated so far, and I can give you just a real rough estimate. So let's see. Yeah, I think I went in and refined something in October for you guys. I apologize, my connection's a little slow this morning, but. Look here. I'm gonna pop in your latest data. From your budget. So we're looking at your net shortfall, and this is a very rough estimate, your net shortfall of around $155,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of
and-
money.
And so, well, and remember, you need to put up the state share, which would be around 60,000. And your federal match that you would get back is roughly 95,000.
Okay.
And then PCG has a contingency pricing of 9% on the net gain, not on your state share, because you're putting that up. That's your money, right? That's all. Well, it's all your money, but the state share is what you put up to get back the net gain. So you still would net around 87,000 in a net annual payment. Is that worth your time?
Yeah, probably. Can we pick and choose which bills we submit to you? We have quite a variance of activities, or do we have to submit everything through the ground emergency medical transportation billing thing?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't really go through to enough detail to explain how you get the money. So the money, actually, we calculate through your cost report essentially what your average cost per transport is, and then we multiply it by your Medicaid trips, and we come up with your Medicaid shortfall, and then from that we calculate kind of like a per transport add-on rate that you're entitled to. And so every time, Carroll, and this will start next July, every time Carroll County bills for a Medicaid transport, they bill a procedure code that tells the state, hey, I'm entitled to, and in your case, it would be roughly, let's just say $700 per trip. So they would bill that procedure code, and when they go to reimburse you for that claim, you would get your usual advanced life support and mileage paid like you normally do, plus you get that add-on payment. So it's incremental. It will come back to you over the course of the year every time you bill a Medicaid transport. And the state reconciles it at the end of the year to make sure you haven't put in too much or too little state share, okay? Because it's kind of an estimate as they go along through the year. And then at the end of the year, they could say, oh, well, you had 100 transports, therefore, this is exactly how much state share you owe. And Carroll County paid, you put in X percent more. So they do a reconciliation.
Is that reconciliation due to our cost report? How does this actual cost report factor into that?
Honey, I apologize. Can you hold for one moment? That's my sister calling from the hospital to let me know where she is. I will be right back. I deeply apologize.
Why can't you just submit your?
Daryl, are you still here?
Yep.
That's what I know.
What does this involve a lot for you? I know you have the GMT form and a couple of forms you need to sign in advance. That was the basis of my question. We could pick or choose because, if it's a lot of paperwork for each activity, there's some activity you will want to report and some that are just going to be pocket change maybe. Have you looked into that or not?
Not really. Basically, they would do all Medicaids because you can't really pick and choose because that's kind of the word I'm trying to think of. But,
Okay, so you have to do everything that's involved with Medicaid then.
Anything that's Medicaid, they would have to look into. Some of it, a little 911 across town, we're not going to make much, but on transfers, it would bring us up quite a bit of money. We get like $16 on a transfer is all we get out of Medicaid. So if we do too many of those, then that's gonna add up. in a
To
hurry.
transfer to the metro area, either one, we probably lost money because that took that much fuel to get
Yeah,
there.
by the time you figure fuel and employees, you lost money.
So, Daryl, one of my questions, do we have to put this 40% in every year then?
Sounds like we'd have to put in every year and then we get it back, plus the federal match. We've asked Jill why we have to put that 40% back in. And she said the way the state has written it up this way, that's their kind of check and balance that we're actually doing what we're doing. So we'd have to kick some upfront money in and supposedly you were supposed to get it back. These people claim, PCG claims they'll get back 100%. Well, they're taking 9% right off the bat. I told Rich the other day, even if we can get up to 70%, that's a heck of a bump for us.
So PCG takes 9%.
Yeah, they'll take 9%.
And I apologize, I'm back. I so apologize, but my sister has been transported to another hospital and I needed to know where.
No problem.
So yeah, how it works is we won't even bill you for anything until, well, we've been working on the cost report with Carroll and with Roxy, and we will submit that here in the next week. And then the state will do a desk review that PCG will navigate on your behalf next spring. They will finalize the add-on rate that you are eligible to receive, and you will start billing July 1st of 2021 with that finalized add-on rate. And then PCG won't bill you probably until December or January after you, and we only get paid if you get paid. So it'll be a year or more from now before you would ever get an invoice from us. And only on what you net gain. So what other questions can I answer for you today? I'm sure I'm throwing an awful lot at you. And as I've told Roxy and Daryl, this is not for sissies. This is kind of a complex finance program, but the feds have deliberately set it up this way to ensure that public entities have the opportunity to participate if they're willing to front the state share of the payment.
So you're saying we can go from 18 cents on a dollar to what? 100 cents on a dollar, or?
Oh, no, you wouldn't go to 100 cents because remember that Medicaid shortfall, that difference. So let's say that 80% that you're not getting now, you would actually net the federal match portion, which is 61.75, about 62% of that 80%. So because you're going to put up the state share of that difference, that 80%, you're going to put up the state share, you'll get it back, but it was always your money. So you're really not netting anything there, but you do net on the federal match you receive, which this year is 61.75%. So you're never going to receive 100% of your shortfall, but you will receive the federal match portion of it. That's still better than any other program where you give somebody $40 and they give you back 100.
The way I got it figured, if we're getting 60-some% of 80%, we're getting 50% total.
Yeah, that's 48 for 50%. That's correct.
Okay,
That's still better than what you're getting now
Okay.
with the Medicaid program. And you get it on not just fee for service, but also Medicaid managed care, which is becoming more and more pervasive in Iowa.
Jill, the paperwork that we fill out for each run that has Medicaid involved with it, there's nothing new with the paperwork there. It's just, we may have to do a tracking method through our billing department of what's been sent to the state and what's returned. Is there anything else we have to monitor there?
You know, we are openly debating right now with the state and have gotten a few concessions on your dry run trips, but that's a whole separate issue on that, literally whether or not a dry run is considered a legitimate cost of doing business, which we strongly have advocated that they do, that they consider that. So you don't get penalized for that. So there's a state representative that has been reaching out to me and has been openly lobbying to change the language in the state plan amendment that created this program, to update that so that it actually increases what you're eligible to receive. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Jill, in the interest of time, does anybody else have any more questions on in the interest of time, I believe that you need to go where you need to go, and this is our first chance of seeing it, and I think we probably will develop more questions. So I'd like to do maybe a return visit with you.
Absolutely.
Sometime in the future. And then we can formulate more questions and see what this will really do for us. But in the interest of time for you, most of all, does anybody else have any real quick question that I'm sure there will be more later.
Yeah. I don't know.
A question that I have is that I'm sure that at some point in time, we'll want to see some references going forward of counties or ambulance services that you are providing this service to.
Absolutely. I would be happy to provide that to you. So absolutely no problem. Please know also that my mom and dad were raised in Audubon, and my sister-in-law is from Hamlin, and it would mean a lot to me personally to get a provider near and dear to my heart in this program. I may live in Texas, but I have spent every summer in Audubon or thereabouts. I have family all over the state. But yeah, if I didn't believe that this was the very best thing for you, my grandpa was a volunteer fire chief in Audubon, Bill Brannon, and my cousin's kid, Corey Fire, is currently a member of the volunteer fire department there in Audubon. I really believe that there is no downside to your participating, because at most you put up the state share, you get money back. The very worst thing that could happen is you don't get any money back because you don't provide any Medicaid transports. There's no way you could be in a negative situation here. It can do nothing but bring in money, whether it's small or it's large, but there is no downside to the program. accept the time that Roxy and Daryl have put in to assist us in pulling together your cost report each year. So,
Okay, appreciate your time, Jill, and I said, I think we'll work back on this. It might be a week or two, but we'll get together with Daryl and Roxy and see what kind of questions that we generate and what kind of questions they have. And then we'll go the next step a little bit further, and you can make a presentation, and if you would, provide some references at that time.
absolutely.
Okay, very good.
I very much appreciate your time today and your patience with me. I apologize for the interruption. And but thank you so
Don't worry
much.
about that, Jill.
Please let me know what else I can do.
Okay, now those things happen in life, so don't worry about that. So
Okay. Well, thank you so much for understanding.
you bet. Thank you very much, Jill.
Take care.
Okay, any questions for Daryl? Any information you guys would like to have him dig up, or Roxy to move this along a little bit better, or?
We knew this would take a few meetings.
Yeah, this is gonna take a little time. It's kind of also new. I mean, it looks great to me. Got a couple more questions about it, but I think we'll just go ahead and kind of push this down for at least a couple weeks to get past Thanksgiving and the holidays. So if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks, Roxy. Okay, we'll move on to the Essex Radio project.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I believe the propane and fencing proposals were the first items of discussion.
Yep, propane was first.
All right. I assume you all have copies of the memo that we sent out on Friday. Both the Lanesboro and Coon Rapids tower sites will need propane tanks to run the generators. So we issued an RFP for 500-gallon tanks, new 500-gallon tanks, and propane per gallon pricing for these two locations. And we received two proposals, one from Al's Corner Oil and one from Dries Oil. And being as I'm not local, I'm not familiar with either of these folks, but I'm guessing all of you probably are. And as noted in our summary here, the pricing is shown for Al's Corner Oil. The tanks were $2,000 a piece, and that is delivered and installed. And Dries Oil was $1,758.85. So we've got a difference of about $241 each for the tanks. And then the current price of propane for Al's was 79 cents a gallon, and for Dries Oil was 89 cents a gallon. So one of them has a little more expensive tanks, but lower fuel costs. So we did some math here to try and come up with a reasonable amount. And assuming about 475 gallons to fill one of these things, it's my understanding you don't completely fill them up. So we did some math, and as you can see in the memo there, 475 gallons times each of their per gallon costs, you come up with a difference of about $47.50 per tank of fuel. If you take that and we used a figure of 5 years, it would take 5 years, assuming one tank of fuel gets used per year, to make up the difference in the tank costs. So with that in mind, I guess we would recommend the Dries Oil proposal as having a lower initial cost for the first 5 years at least. So thoughts and comments on that?
Well, from a local perspective, both Dries Oil and Al's Corner are both reputable companies, so I can't fault either one of them. And my math was done differently, but came up with the same answer. Basically, I determined that we needed to use 4,000 gallons in order to break even with the lower installation costs, which I also came back to Grease Oil Company. And secondly, this fueling price per gallon could change next year, either one, either to our advantage or disadvantage. So, yeah, I used a different kind of math, but it came up with the same answers you did.
Thanks, Neil.
And these will be our tanks, as I understand it.
Correct.
So as that price changes, we're free to go wherever we wish. Okay.
I don't believe there's any kind of long-term commitment with either of these.
I didn't read it in there. I just wanted to make sure to see if anybody else had read it and I missed it.
Well, I think it would be unpopular, but we could get the tanks from one entity and then we would own them and have it filled by the other entity. But I think that would be kind of unethical to do in the first year. I think they probably did the bid assuming they would get first chance at filling tanks.
Yep.
I can't imagine that there's going to be a tremendous amount of usage here, is there? I mean, that little building shouldn't take a lot of LP to keep it heated.
No, well, and this is only to run the generators during a power outage.
It's not to run any.
Nope. This is strictly to run the generators in times of power outage. Both locations have electric service to run the heaters and so forth, and the air conditioning units.
So we could probably top that out once a year.
Oh.
And that would be very minimal.
Other than the exercise time will probably be more fuel than most likely we spent the rest of the year. So.
Right, unless you have another windstorm come through.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you have an event.
Exactly.
So are we doing electric heat then in these units?
Yes, basically.
Okay. All right.
Probably very little of that because the electronics will put off enough heat probably to keep that little building pretty warm.
Yeah, the bigger expense will be the air conditioning cost in the summertime, I suspect.
Okay, so Jason, would you prefer a motion on each one individually, or do you want to do the group that's on the agenda?
I mean, they're listed separately on the agenda. However the board feels, I don't think it matters to us.
I'd like to do them separately then. Okay. Any more
I'll
questions?
make a motion to remove that we have Dries Oil Company install the tanks and fill them.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now this is for the Dries Oil package, the price of the propane and the price of the tank. Right?
Yes.
Right.
All right, very good. All right, I'll call, any more questions on that? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Motion carries. The fencing, I found a little bizarre, Ray.
So did we. It was a very, it was kind of a strange situation because as noted in the memo here, the first proposal we got was from Rose Construction for $23,500. And I immediately called Jason and I said, is there a decimal point off here or something? And at that point in time, the auditor's office hadn't received the other proposal yet, and we were concerned to say the least. And then we got the proposal from Klein, which was about what we expected this to cost. So we were relieved and talked to the folks at Klein and acknowledged their proposal for $6,873. We have not contacted Rose to find out what they were thinking or whatever. I don't know that we will unless they call us and ask what happened. But on the other hand, I'm kind of curious what they were planning here. But
There's some
in any case,
misunderstanding. There had to be a misunderstanding of something there.
yeah. But the specifications that we put out were obviously clear enough for the folks at Klein Fence. So don't know, but anyway, we're recommending a contract with Klein for this.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. We approve the Klein contract for $6,873 for fencing at Lanesboro.
I'll second that motion, although I think that's even high, but
I agree with you, Dean. I think it's time.
Well, this is chain link fence, right?
Correct.
And that's higher. That stuff's not cheap.
Okay, any more discussion on this? Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
And opposed? Motion carries. All right, site development update, Ray.
All right, just a quick summary on things. We're actually getting to the end of the road on this work, which has been going on all summer basically. And at Coon Rapids, the power is on, and they're delivering and installing the generator this week. And our site development folks are wrapping things up if they didn't already last week. I didn't talk to them on Friday. So, and this is separate from the work that Motorola is doing, and our friend Dave will be talking about that in a few minutes. But at Coon Rapids, again, they're wrapping things up. At Lanesboro, I believe most of the work is done there. Again, waiting for an update on the grounding and so forth. And we do not have electricity on yet at Lanesboro, at least based on information from late last week. The Mid-American folks have been a little slow, I guess, in getting things done over there. All the electrical work is done in the building and the cabling underground, under the road out to the power pole and so forth. So, and at Manning, most of the, we'll call it the civil work is done there as well. And again, waiting for an update from our contractor who had folks out there late last week. So bottom line is we're wrapping things up in that department. And I'll turn to Jason for any other comments.
And nothing too significant to add. I've been dealing with Mid-American on the Lanesboro site, and it just seems like their bureaucracy is slowing down the works a little bit. I think we've provided them everything they need at this point, as far as I know, to get it done. They were supposed to be getting it scheduled, so I'm optimistic that we'll see that in the next week or two. But yeah, I was out to the site, I believe, on Wednesday, and there was still no transformer or any work from them. So,
Are there any other questions on our tower site work?
Did we look at the cost of the generators at one time? Have we seen that?
Yes, I think it's the short answer.
Yeah. Okay. I just can't remember. I just didn't know what those cost us. That's all. If Ray or if Jason, if you could send that quote to me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I drove by the Coon site. I think that was on Thursday, and I seen them up on the tower. So looking good.
Okay, anything else for Ray and Jason? Okay, if not, we're
Well,
gonna,
just when do you think we're gonna be able to turn up? Or is that what Dave's gonna cover?
I think that's what Dave's gonna tell us.
Okay, all
Or
right.
give us a parameter of, I think that's what he's up to here. Dave?
No
turn it up.
pressure, Dave.
And no pressure. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I wanted to give you just an update on pretty much several categories: subscribers dispatch of the sites, microwave, equipment shipments, and then unfortunately some COVID delays that we're accounting on supply chain, and then also the schedule and when we're going to be turning up. I'll just go to the question first regarding the schedule. Currently, we're tracking towards cutover in February with final acceptance in March, but that is hinging on the equipment that is currently delayed due to COVID arriving, and those things are some DC power equipment and also some microwave equipment that we're waiting on shipments. So I'm tracking those, and I'm staying in touch with Jason, making sure that we can get that. We're trying to offset that as much as possible by locating equipment elsewhere. I was able to locate some batteries because the original shipment date for batteries was going to be March, which obviously is unacceptable. We've gotten that moved up till the end of January, which still doesn't work. So we were able to locate some batteries and get those moved in that were part of another project, and then we'll have to give those back once we're done using them. So we're trying to find parts. Unfortunately, every project is in the same boat that this one is. So. But right now, tracking towards February with final acceptance in March, and we're going to do our best to hold to that. But where we're at with subscribers currently, fire department mobile installations are complete. Departments are using the radios on the existing system, and will transition over to the new system when it's live. School radio templates are complete. Programming is nearing completion, and installation is going to be following here real quick. With the dispatch center, the MCC 7500 dispatch equipment is fully installed, operational. It's been integrated into the Eventide logging recorder. And then other than some finishing touches on removing the prior dispatch center, dispatch equipment, that's complete. And that is just some identifying some wiring, either clipping it off or removing it, and removing some equipment from the transmitter room that's on the shelves there, just identifying what can stay and what needs to go. But really, in the dispatch center, we're all but done there. With the sites, at the Carroll Essex site, the VHF equipment, the racks have been delivered and installed in the shelter, and the VHF antenna and lines are already hung. So that site, as far as equipment installation is done, we're going to be moving into optimization there. Same thing is true with the Audubon Essex sites. So the two Essex sites are done as far as antenna and lines and equipment being moved into the shelters. For Coon Rapids, tower climbers, as you guys have noted, they were on site Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They did get slowed down last week because of the high winds, but they were able to get most of that done. We're waiting for a report back from RJ this morning on when they'll have that completed. RJ's our project manager from Pyramid, who is our subcontractor for the tower climbing. Excuse me. And then the equipment racks, they're scheduled for delivery inside the shelter tomorrow. So the racks will be installed in the shelter tomorrow. And then from there, we'll be moving on to Lanesboro. Ray and Jason were nice enough to give us the notice to proceed this past Thursday. So we'll be delivering that equipment also tomorrow, and Pyramid will be moving on to Lanesboro next. For the Manning site, all of the equipment, the inside equipment has already been installed. That included moving the equipment from the equipment racks we normally install into cabinets. And that was just as a security precaution due to that being a shared space. So that way that equipment's protected. That's done. And the antenna and lines will be scheduled there upon receiving the notice to proceed from Jason and Ray. And any questions on the sites? I went through that pretty quickly.
That's fine. I have one request and one question.
Sure.
My question was, when we first started this, and I understand that COVID has really put a wrinkle in a lot of this. We would like to have had some leaf testing, testing of all the radios and things while the leaves were on the trees. Obviously, we're not going to be finalized on that. I'm hoping that there's some leeway about maybe coming back in June or July for adjustments that we don't have to pay for, or there's some considerations made because unfortunately everybody's trapped in these situations.
Yeah, I think what we're going to find when we do the coverage testing is that we're going to exceed the requirement to a degree that everybody's going to feel very confident going into foliage. I don't expect that we're just going to make the 97% requirement. We're going to exceed that, and everybody's going to be very, very comfortable with where we're at. But certainly, we want you to be satisfied. We're going to ensure that we're going to meet that requirement.
Okay, now my one request, and it's a little strange request if I wouldn't have any knowledge about it, on the generation, now between Ray and yourself, Dave, or Jason, it has a testing time where it comes on and automatically tests itself. And was that not correct? Yeah, I would like to find out from the other vendors that are on that tower in Coon Rapids or Manning, what day or time they're doing. I don't want to do it at the same time. I want it staged. Sometimes things happens on site that don't get noticed until the generation doesn't work and someone physically goes there. So if you don't have that staggered time, it can get you both in trouble for a lot longer period. You may have been out and didn't know it. So those are the kind of things that I'd like to have them staggered around a little bit.
I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. The generator in Coon Rapids and Lanesboro is only powering our shelter, so we can schedule that however we want. And then Manning is going to have whatever time they exercise their generator is going to be however they have it set up, because we're tied into their power and their generator. Okay. So we can just work around Manning, and I don't anticipate that being an issue, but I understand your concern, and it's a good point.
Okay. Any other questions?
The only question that I have is that it sounds like we're having some issues with getting product because of COVID, and as I understand on a lot of things, the price of things are going up because of that reason. Are we paying any more, or are we going to see any increase in this cost?
Absolutely not. If any price increase that are encountered from our vendors, Motorola is going to absorb that within the project. We'll stand by our contract price. One other thing I would like to say is, as you all know, all of the equipment's been shipping into the Conservation Education Center. And I just wanted to share with you all how much we appreciate their willingness for us to take up a large chunk of their real estate there. They've been very gracious. They've worked with us. They've been extremely flexible in receiving the shipments and making the equipment available to our technicians. I simply can't thank them enough for all they've done to help this project.
We'll make sure to pass that on to Jason, and then he can pass it on to all these employees.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
So the only last question I had would be, say if we don't get the Lanesboro site turned up as quickly as possible, is that going to hold the delay of turning the whole system up, or any other type of thing like that? Can we turn it up without a tower?
Honestly, the big pull in the tent on turning up the entire system, I don't believe it's going to be the Lanesboro tow. I believe it's going to be the microwave. That's really going to be what'll hold us up here, because right now we're tracking. We were originally tracking at having the microwave equipment staged in December and then shipped to the field. Now they're talking where we're at right now is with the delays, the equipment arriving into Texas to be staged at the end of December, which then puts staging at the beginning of January. By then, I don't think we're going to have any issues at all with the Lanesboro site. I think really the microwave is going to be the big pull intent. In other words, it's not going to be Ray and Jason slowing us down. It's going to be me, unfortunately. I think they're out of the hot seat and I'm in it. So.
And you're going to need the microwave.
Yeah, we need
to turn it up.
Exactly. We need that microwave connectivity back to the system to be able to turn it up live.
We could go with the other 2 sites and not have Lanesboro on, correct?
We could, and we can even do all of the optimization on the sites and have everything ready to go on all of the sites while waiting for the microwave. And that's what we plan to do. We could even do the coverage testing on the system without the microwave being in place using the sites and site trunking. So we do have some options. Absolutely.
Okay, well, the holidays are coming too, so that's another factor that, and
Absolutely.
And there's all kinds of factors, and bad weather is one of them, so.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any more questions? Gene, Neil? Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
If I just may, I think Ray would agree with me here. Just so the board knows that I think we lucked out with Dave as our PM for Motorola. He seems to be one of the good ones, so to speak. Anytime we've had any issues that could have been a thing, Dave is just taking care of them. And so in front of you guys, I want to tell Dave how much I appreciate that. And I think, you know, Ray, if you would back me up on that, you've got more experience, obviously, with that than I do.
Well, I would second that motion, so to speak. And in contrast, in Boone County, we had 4 project managers from Motorola because there was a little bit of turnover and some things here. So I would agree with Jason. Dave's been kind of a rock through this thing from Motorola and doing a very good job resolving, you know, the various issues that are inherent in a project like this from Motorola's side. So again, thanks, Dave.
Thank you both.
Definitely. And you know, these delays that he's talking about, I mean, when he's told me about them, we've kicked around ideas, and then he hits the airwaves, so to speak, to try to come up with solutions like those batteries that he came up with that, you know, I'm not so sure another project manager would have gone to quite that length to try to solve the problem. So we appreciate it. I think Ray and I do. I know I do. And just want to let the board know that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Guys have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, the payables are next.
Want to make sure we add the mileage for stuff.
Oh,
This board hasn't seen.
oh.
You
There
want to
is-
screenshot it and send it to them?
That's up to them. We also want to add one expense report from Stephanie. He's got an expense report to turn in, so that would be in these payables, and it's for what total?
$246.
$246.
And it's from, I'll just read them off real quick. If you guys want me to, I can send you a snap of it. Back on 9/14, Wesco meeting over in Denison. 10/7 was the Atlantic meeting. 10/12 is Wesco again. And then 11/4 was Sioux Center. So there's 3 months worth. Wesco is probably gonna do more virtual for the next month or 2. So there'll be no mileage for that. And then on the actual payables, I only had one question, and that was in the contract tracing. The visa amount, because it's cut off on our piece of paper, but it was for computers.
Dean, can you tell me what Diversity Farms is for? I think I know, but I would like to.
What was that, Gene?
On a conservation at Diversity Farms for 5,000.
Oh, that's for
for-
seeding down in the Tigas property.
Okay, I
Yep.
kind of thought that's what it was, but
Yep.
I wanted to make sure.
I think we get reimbursed for that as well.
Oh, it's passed through.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Dean, I see you got 1, 2, 3, 4 contract tracers, is that right?
We have 9 contact tracers.
9 right now?
And the last one that's on right now is Marcia Schaefer. She hasn't submitted anything. I think she wants to go monthly if she can, as far as her compensation. But Marcia has agreed to do contact tracing, and she's done this before, so it's not that it's something new to her. But yeah, we have 9 individuals that are actually trained to do contact tracing that are active right now. The numbers are going down, as you probably already know. So the contract tracing dollars will go down as well when that happens. So.
And hopefully we can keep that trend for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I didn't see any other questions on my part. If you guys have any more discussion, but I will make a motion to approve the payables.
I would second that. Any more discussion on that? Okay, I'll call for the vote. We have a motion and a second to approve the payables for today. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a couple of plaques today. Any questions on those?
Should be 3 of them.
I really don't have any questions on them. I'll make a motion to approve the plats.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty straightforward as well. I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for the approval of the plaques for today. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, COVID-19 discussion. I don't think there's a lot to discuss. The governor issued her new health measures. I believe they supersede anything that we have. So the only question that I have is they're good till December 10th. And we'll have to reevaluate at that time if she decides to let them expire, and whether we decide to expire or join in or go back to our old one for a period of time, because we are in till January 15th, if I recall. So we've got a week or two here to watch the numbers, see how it goes, and we can always reevaluate it at that time.
My only discussion on COVID, Dean, I was asking reports from Becky if they're going to be available. Do you know, did you talk to her? Is she willing to give them to us?
Yeah, I have, I kind of looked at it this way. I haven't had any contact with anybody this last week. So I think no news in this situation is probably good news. If there are situations that come up, I don't know that she would probably tell us anything more than what we can probably get ourselves. So
yeah, I just like the charts and the numbers.
Oh, okay, that way. And I'll mention that to her again. Yep. We did have 5 more deaths, since our last meeting, which is not good, but our testing numbers are down. So our positive is down. So I think that's good. I think we're going in the right direction that way anyway. I think Wiltsey Kretzinger's article in the paper, I think, was very good and gave a good description of what happens, and how I get taken back by this, and we're a few of us here on this meeting are the age that it could affect us adversely. And so we talk about what we're going to be doing for the holidays, and it's probably not going to be much, so It's a serious thing. I think we need to take it seriously. I think this board has taken it seriously. And so, and I think everyone in the county will appreciate that.
Lisa or Ashley, Great. Very good. Any more? Yeah, any more? We'll move on to the jail project. The jail project, the reason I put this back on the agenda, we were talking about the hand wave door openers. I believe it was $770. That ring the bell.
Yes, I thought it was like 740, but
It might be 740. Steph could be right there.
I can look it up.
And the reason I decided to bring it back is obviously they just told us that what that cost was going to be, and if we're going to approve it, I wanted to do it in the meeting. Any more discussion on that? You know, I can see it both ways, to tell you the truth. They're kind of handy. What coming in and out of the courthouse, I find myself waving at it, and you don't have to touch it. But then again, this is for 50, 60 years, and hopefully we'll not experience this again for at least that long.
I'm glad we have a new one, not just because of COVID, but in the winter, you've got flu and got everybody touching that door and you can't clean it. I mean, it's just way better. I mean, any big company, any big business, they all have automatic doors.
Right.
If you're building a brand new building,
We
you
should
should
take
have
advantage of that.
automatic doors or something.
That's a valid point.
And I know that the courthouse ones were over $1,000 to do it. And it's 700 to do those, about half the cost. You know, if you do it when you're doing the building.
You know, I think it's probably the right thing to do with the situation we're in right now with the COVID. We may have this situation again someday. I hope, God, hope or pray we don't. But I think by putting it on the jail, it would be also make the doors be consistent with the doors of the courthouse and the jail, that people would be aware that they're both the same. I think that would be one of the positive things about doing it right now.
And when your arms are full, it is nice when you get two in both hands. You just got to get close to it, wave by it. Open. So, okay.
Well, I guess my input would be this. I mean, since this is new construction, can we just put in a motion detector above the door that detects somebody coming to the door? I mean, basically like when you go into Fairway or a Hy-Vee or anywhere, you know, I mean, the door will open for you. You don't have to wave it. You just, I guess that would be, I don't know if it actually is going to cost any more. I think it was brought up to have a motion detector, you know, for Zach to put on, and I think this was more reasonable, and it was more reasonable because of the installation.
Yeah, we had some issues on the front door where we were going to have to do some major expenses. We did the eye that looked at it. So. Right. I think it would have been more expensive to put a motion detector in. And so this was because of the installation charges, it was probably easier to come up with this situation. And I'm just thinking that if it's new construction, why don't we look at maybe a motion detector as opposed to the situation we currently have? Okay, so. Just a thought. Yeah, do you want to approve that, the hand wave one? Because I think that's what he quoted, was that, as you understood it?
It is what he quoted, but I think Dean brings up a valid point. I mean, obviously, we're a little ways off from putting in the front door, so I think we could get a quote for actual one of the motion sensor type system. Do I think it's going to be more? Yes. But if you want to see a quote from that, I have no problem reaching out to Tony and having him look into that.
I think we should. We'll look at the way hand one, and then we'll also look for the eye one. If it's in our installation, it probably will cost more. But it might be a good time to look at it. Okay, so we'll kind of circle back on this at a later date. We'll get some quotes out so you can see them. Okay. Any more discussion on that? Okay, now we'll move on to the manure management for the day. We had one. It was Neil Muehlbauer in section 34 of Washington Township. And that's an original manure plan. Committee reports.
I can start and be brief. On Monday, I did the radio and newspaper. On Wednesday, had the meeting of the Coalition of Human Services, and at that meeting, which was poorly attended, we mostly talked about the government's proclamation and how it overshadowed or trumped the local ordinance that we had on COVID-19. And on Thursday, we all had the jail meeting, and the only thing I wanted to follow up from there was change order number 36, where Dries was supposed to return a 34 by 24 damper, and they thought that was included in the increase. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to get it. Maybe it was be less than that if that was a return. This week on Wednesday afternoon, Rolling Hills will be meeting. That is my report. Are there any questions? Okay, whoever's next.
Thanks, Neil.
I can go next. Last week on, I'll get my calendar up here now. First thing on Monday night, we had a meeting over at the city of Manning in regard to the 2 mile zone around Manning. They had an information meeting for the public in that 2 mile area. And there was very much made the point that those people in that 2 mile zone did not want this to happen. When we got done with the meeting, I said, told the staff from the Manning that if this was going to be any indication of what it was going to be like with the rest of the meetings, it was probably not in their best interest or our best interest to go proceed ahead with this. So I was kind of expecting to get a call on Tuesday. Well, the other meetings were set up for Wednesday at noon and Wednesday night and then Friday. And about 10:15, I got a call that they canceled all the rest of the meetings and they pulled the plug on that proposed project. So that is off the table. Then on Thursday, I was to the county jail progress meeting. And then on Friday was the juvenile detention centers up at Cherokee's a monthly meeting. We had that. Things are going fairly well up there. They had that day 7 on hand. They were averaging approximately about 10 through the month. Their numbers have been high. Transports have been running 6 to 7 transports per day. They're just basically running the wheels off the cars. They've been really busy. They did have one issue the night before, a male client that created a little ruckus up there, and that all turned out all right, but they did have one that did cause some problems. One of the things that our financial statement looks pretty good. We have Jasper County that's got an adult waiver up there. This last month, their bill was almost $15,000, and this is going to continue for a while, being this is a juvenile or adult waiver. And so our profits have been very good. We also discussed our health insurance. We did switch to a different plan this year. With even switching to a different plan, it's going to be over 22% higher than what we did last year. We went from $1,000 deductible to a $2,000 deductible, and did switch that plan. One of the other topics that we talked about was in regard to transportation, that the 3 mental health regions up there, Sioux Rivers, Rolling Hills, and Northwest Iowa Care Connections, are looking at doing a joint contract for transportation for transporting mental health people to the crisis centers. So that's one of the things that they're working on right now. So, and this week I was supposed to have a CADC board meeting on tomorrow, and that has been canceled. So that's my week for this week.
Gene, thanks for immediately notifying us that the 2 mile thing on the Manning has been changed. Sometimes time is important. Thanks.
Well, that's why I wanted to make sure I didn't have people running down there bumping their nose on a door.
Gene, you said something about transfers to the region. Is that a Medicaid-driven payment on that? Is that usually transferred in by ambulance?
No, this would be our juvenile detention center does transports for juveniles, but we're also doing transports for mental health people that we have been doing, and that's paid through the region, I think, and some of the hospitals. But now these 3 regions are trying to work together to get a transportation thing put together for the crisis center. So we're working on that. Our transportation, like I said, has really been, they're really doing a lot of transports between juveniles. Those numbers have been high, and our mental health also. So we have people that are going out, whenever they get a call, they take off. So we do have cars scattered around. One of the things I do need to talk to is Ken. They would like to get a car down here in Carroll County, and they're looking like someone that be, retired law enforcement or something like that, if it's possible. And we have had discussions about possibly getting another car. We just got these 2 new cars, I think, this spring, and they're over 50,000 miles already on them. And we're running a lot of older cars a lot of the cars that we have been cars that have been donated to us from other sheriff's department or police departments that's got the cage and the camera in them already. The newer ones, we equipped them with that camera and cage, but we are kind of looking at possibly add more cars to that fleet. It's just transportation is a good service. I mean, we provide a good services. By us doing it, it alleviates the sheriff from having to take people out of their patrol or out of the area to do this, and we're doing it instead. And at probably a more reasonable cost too, I might add.
Okay. Thanks, Dean.
You bet.
I can go next. On Wednesday, I had the Region 5 Hazmat meeting. It was the budget meeting, and the budget turned out exactly what it was last year. So the income on the budget was $245,368, and the expenditures $175,898.25, which would be $773.63 more than last year. So we had a little bit more in expenditures, but the grants reflected an increase as well. So we will remain at $1.50 for this year. There will be some additional income that will come in that has not been put in the budget, and that is for the sale of the old hazmat unit truck. So they're looking at a way to sell that. I think they've got a plan in place, and it will generate anywhere from a minimum of $25,000 up to somewhere north of $50,000. So it just depends upon getting the right person involved. Had the jail meeting on Thursday and the emergency coalition meeting on Friday. Not really any new news there. it seems like we get fewer members participating in that as time goes on, and but I think everyone appreciates the input from the schools and the towns and from the nursing homes and from the hospitals. So we encourage them to continue supporting that coalition call every other Friday. That's my week. This week I have nothing really on my agenda, so except eat turkey.
I can go next. Last week I had a daycare meeting. About this time every year, we go over the budget and the rates, and sometimes we have to reevaluate if we're gonna do a rate increase. But with the current situation with COVID, we've actually postponed this meeting to kind of see how the business runs in the next few weeks. Other than that, there was nothing really new. They are up and running, and they continue to stay that way to help support the parents that are working. Then Wednesday, my meeting in Manning got canceled. Thursday, we had our jail meeting in the morning. And then Friday, I did sit in on that emergency coalition meeting, and Dean covered that. This upcoming week, I don't have any official meetings scheduled besides eating turkey.
Thanks, Doug. Monday, I did it, other than the supervisor meeting, I did attend the 2 Mile meeting in Manning. That was a little contentious, I thought, but I understand their concerns. On last Thursday, I attended the jail meeting. Then on Friday, I did the statewide WIOA meeting by Zoom. And we're getting pretty much cleaned up on the state level on the WI. In fact, we're going back to monthly meetings instead of weekly meetings for a while. Steph, or Courtney, do you have anything? Carl, any questions over there?
No, no comments.
No comments?
I'll be having a meeting.
Oh, yeah. Just set a play out out there. All right.
In my household.
I'll do a drive-by. All right, anything else?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Yeah, motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Guys have a safe Thanksgiving.